Hello, Kangana Ranaut, and we are very happy to have you in Film Companion South.
Thank you.
I just have to begin with this question because I've been like, I just told you, the first time I went to see Gangster, it was a theater in Chennai, and I didn't know who this actor was, and mine just exploded. And the mind just kept exploding after that because I think it's a series of performances
Thank
over the
you.
years.
Thank you, sir.
And one of the things that I sense, at least as an audience, Wo Lamhe is another fantastic performance of yours, where it almost it's as if you're taking pieces of your soul and giving it to the audience. How do you do it every single time? Does it get exhausting?
I think that is with all art forms. Even when you paint, a part of you has to come on the canvas, and then that's where the greatest work you can't really tell what it is. It could be the very thick paint on the canvas also, but it feels so striking. Is because there is a piece of someone there, and same with even embroidery, something as basic as that. So I think being an artist, it's my job to indulge in people who I portray and characters who I interpret and depict. That's the fun of it also. There is no other, high to it. There's no other trip to it. It's a difficult job. You have to be very consistent, disciplined, and people judge you. Like I feel that if you are out of shape, you're looking sleepy, or your eyes are swollen. So it's a very difficult job, and to be at it for so many years, in 15 years now, I've been at it. Um, I think the part that keeps me going is to find these people, to find these various people, various characters, and to be one with them. Some I find those who maybe I feel superior to, like for example, a judgmental character. She's so broken.
Yeah.
I find her somebody who I can look at and be like, oh, poor her, right? I mean, and there are some that those are larger than life, like Jayama, or who are more successful than me, like Jhansi Ki Rani.
Yeah.
So there are very awe-inspiring for me to be able to blend into this and then to jump into that, and to have a life. I always say being an artist is such a gratifying job, and
Right.
I think that is the reason in some traditions we are worshipped, especially in Tamil cinema.
Yeah.
For them, an artist and work of art, because they are so deep rooted to spirituality. Even temples were used to display art forms. So they still have that ancient approach to artists, where they literally worship the grounds they walk on, because I think in their purest form they have that, they can rise to those heights. So for me, it is a very spiritual journey. I get exhausted. There is no two ways about it. I get emotionally drained, and I need long breaks after my schedules. So I do make some distance. Sometime I fall back on my family to remind me, where I was, where did I leave everything, and I need to catch up on everyone and everything. And they help me through that.
Now, you've played a lot of strong women, and Jayalalitha is known as a very, very strong woman. What aspect of her strength did you find unique that was probably not in the other strong women that you have played?
She was undoubtedly very strong, but she had a strength of thunderbolt, but absolutely harnessed within, And she always said that my emotions are not for public, So she was absolute introvert, and whatever plans she may have for you or for herself, you would never know. You would never know what she's planned for you. So I think that kind of subtle demeanor, combined with that kind of ferocious power, and a very calm, demeanor, like I said. She is not somebody for outbursts or for making threats or for even saying things which can put her immediately in the list of biggest feminists, or
Right.
she was very subtle in her approach to everything, which is commendable.
Yeah, actually, I've never heard her being described as a harnessed thunderbolt. And now that I think of it, it's kind of a lovely way of describing her, because if you see the famous Simi Garewal interview, for instance, you would think this is such a calm, peaceful lady,
Yes.
and she's singing this old Hindi song, and
Yes.
she's just lovely. But she was also very, very powerful woman who kind of was a very controversial figure as well. So that's a
Yes.
lovely way of describing her.
Thank you.
Now, through this character of Jayalalitha, can you take us through your process? I know it's not possible in an interview to cover an entire process, but apart from the videos that you watched, apart from the mannerisms that you picked up, how do you enter the head of a person like this? Because before you enter the mannerisms are the outside things, but to enter the person herself, that act of possession, how does that happen for Kangana Ranaut?
It's a very personal process, and I wouldn't recommend it for anyone. But I think for me, the psychosis of character is very important, to know the missing link in the psyche, and to figure them out, to put the dots together. What were their deep desires, and what were their weaknesses, and where were the soft points, and where were the strengths. So it's a very psychological approach to begin with, and then that leads to the traits that become dominant in their personality. I've been a science student, even though I've not studied much, but I have a very scientific approach to my characters. Um, I don't like to dissect them, and I don't like to talk about them like this manner, because it is really disrespectful for anybody. But having said that, knowing all of that, your job is still not complete. It is just 1% of your job. You've got to then fall in love with the character,
Right.
and then knowing everything and knowing their deepest, darkest truths. You've got to love them more than yourself, and then you find they have manifested in more ways than you may have even thought they would. I think somewhere you tap into a consciousness,
Right.
and that too guides you. Like I said, I'm a very spiritual person. It's actually uncomfortable, because there are so many kind of minds online, and they can twist these conversations to make it look gross. But I have a spiritual approach to my characters. Eventually, it's all about how deeply and how dangerously you can love the characters you play.
So Arvind had a very interesting observation to make. So I asked him, because MGR is such a flamboyant figure, with all this and that, and so I asked him, did you just mimic him, or how did you find the character? And he said something interesting. He said, I had to find a way where I don't lose the Arvind in me, but I also channel the external MGR. Uh, would you say it's a little bit like that for you as well? I don't know.
Yes, it is. It is an amalgamation of the two. Um, you know, um, it's just that as long as you are there, uh, it's a Hindi doha. I think Kabir's doha. I don't now remember it clearly, but they say na जब मैं था तो हरि नहीं, जब हरि थे तो मैं नहीं, right? It is a similar approach. As long as you are there, of course, the character is not there.
Right.
And when the character is there, you are not there. But since you are the medium, it's a part of you, and a trait of you will always be there.
Right. Let's take another biopic, right? Manikarnika Rani of Jhansi. Now, today nobody knows how she walked, talked, what was, or even how she looked. Very frankly, so you were probably a little freer to create her.
Yes.
Whereas here you're a bit in a cage, right? Because there's a very certain personality out there.
Yes.
Did that prove to be a challenge, like in a way, because you know that people, at least in Tamil Nadu, people know what Jayalalitha is like. Was that the challenge?
I think that's even more difficult with Manikarnika. I faced a lot of difficulties because
You mean Manikarnika is more difficult?
yeah, I mean, both are the same.
Oh,
like I
right,
said, as
right.
long as you love the character. But here, at least there was a validation that Vijay sir would come, and this was ditto, because he has had interactions with her, when he released his film Thalaivii and all that. There was a huge controversy. He's been a victim of that controversy as well. So he knows that, and it's amazing how much he admires her, and how much he has respect for her. So there was a constant validation that, oh, this is very good, we are very close to her, or looks like that, or even the demeanor, everything. So I was a lot more relaxed. But with Manikarnika's character, there were a lot of restrictions, and I did not know where the validation is coming from, only from my side. There was nobody else to validate it, and to say, okay, oh, she must have been like this only. And even now, the kind of appreciation I'm getting in terms of my dances or looks and everything, even though I come from extreme north, almost Himalayas. So for me to get this validation for a character like Jayama, who's so deeply rooted in her culture and in her roots, is a big deal. And it at least makes me at some point vindicated that, oh, fine, we got it. But with Manikarnika, I still don't know if how close I was, or maybe I could have, maybe sometimes I feel, even though I got national award for the film, but I wonder what did she look like? Yeah, I don't feel, I mean, of course, with her character and the way she did things, it's so much out in every book, and so with some of her quotes, I could tap into her. But they were very rare and very few.
Okay. Now, like I said, Jayalalitha is a very polarizing figure within Tamil Nadu itself. What did you take away from do you take away things from characters when you play them? There are some actors who say that when I play X character, I took away this one aspect of their personality which was not inside me earlier, but this was kind of really nice to take away. Were you able to take away something from this character that you played, or this woman herself, the way she led her life?
Oh yeah, it was hugely gratifying. Like I said, there's no other joy to filmmaking other than this, her love story, her admiration for a man, and that admiration pretty much carved her path and her destiny. It's such for me as a woman, it is so relatable, that for a woman, I think for so many of us, I mean, love still remains the priority, even if, so and to live through that, and to be able to understand her and live her life all over again, for me was a huge high. I take that away with me, not like a life lesson or something, but the sheer experience of it will remain with me. That joy, those lows and those highs. Scientifically it's proven that our mind does not know difference between what we think and what we actually experience. And for us as actors, these extreme situations, when we play out, they pretty much become a part of our reality. And that reality for me is like not a second-hand experience. To be honest, it is a first-hand experience. To me, it feels like that. So it will remain with me all my life.
Yeah, and one of the fascinating things about it is with a lot of strong women, when they describe their profiles or biographies or something, they say, oh, she carved her path through a man's world. Jayalalitha is a classic example of that, because if you want to take a southern personality who literally took a hatchet and carved her path through a man's world, that's her.
Yes.
That's something that was very, even the people who did not, admire her had to admire that aspect of hers, that she kind of got to where she was through sheer will. Determination. And that kind of reminds me of you as well. So when they announced the part, it was almost like some little bit of destiny kind of coming together, because you coming up the way you did, and that was kind of. Did you feel that?
I have my own philosophy, because I love my character so much, and I don't want it to be a one-sided love. So I do believe that they have chosen me for it. And I take great responsibility in that. So far, these great women, nobody has played. So I would like to believe there is a universal conspiracy and they choose me for their characters because they think that my experiences are so close to them and I will be able to understand and identify. So I would like to believe that Jayama has chosen me.
Every role comes with its own challenges and difficulties. Let's take a Manikarnika versus Thalaivii versus a Panga, which is on a much lower key you're playing it because these are overt women. That's a much subtler kind of thing. Are both kinds of performances equally difficult, or do you find yourself like saying one is maybe a little bit easier to get into them, through your process?
Well, that's where the technicality of filmmaking comes in. There are characters that are from a character. There are characters where film is from a character's point of view. Those are definitely more tricky. Like you said, Thalaivii, or it's their journey.
Right.
There are characters where they are playing dynamic characters and they are from somebody else. Like I personally interpreted Panga to be the child's story. He's seeing his mother from his perspective. For me, the way Panga sees Jaya is from a very child's perspective, because initially they don't know much and then they start to know and then they know so deeply. So there is an arc to even what you want to play.
Right.
You can't reveal so much in the beginning.
Yeah.
She seems that she's a mom. Come on, what else could be more to her?
Right.
Right. So you've got to have the arc, that's where you as a person who's experienced, you want to be in sync with the film. So there were not too many layers to her in the beginning. And just when the child feels that he has offended her, he starts to look at her closely. And then he finds another world to her.
Right.
And then we explore that world. So that perspective is also very important, so that you're not singing your own song only in a film, because you are a good performer and you can perform, but you're not like you said, you're not completely putting yourself out there, so you've got to know the script and you got to know the part and you've got to know how to enhance the film, not yourself.
Right.
It should be your prerogative. So all these are very technical things, but as we gain experience, we understand these.
You've starred in a couple of southern films before, Ek Niranjan in Telugu,
Yes.
or Dam Dum early in your career. Why haven't we seen you more in the South?
It was such a big mistake for me to not explore South market. In fact, Vijay sir, I don't agree to this, but Vijay sir says he has met me before.
Oh.
I don't even remember that, he had come and he had narrated me a very big film which became a huge success. I was so young that I think that was one thing that did not work for me. I did not understand cultures and I didn't understand the business of movies.
Right.
And for me, I was such a stupid pahadi that at times while working on these, I won't realize I'm in different industries. That's spaced out, I was hardly 17, 18. And out of school and coming from extreme, that I won't realize that actually Tamil and Telugu are different. So I was that primitive a person. And no guidance from parents, nothing.
Right.
So he met me and he narrated me a film with Vijay. When I did Dham Dhoom when I was very young, immediately after Gangster.
Right.
And that experience was so beautiful, the way they treated me. But I don't know, I was lost or what I was doing. I didn't have managers and I didn't have proper agency taking care of my work. I don't remember. But he says I did, which is already making me feel like, what? Who all have been narrating me films and I don't even know? And there was no internet in those days where you can Google a person,
Yeah.
Like you were shooting in a studio and I came and I sat in your van and I gave you narration for 2 hours. And I was like, really?
So, do you find it easy to learn languages?
No. No. I don't.
And this is a 3-language film, right? It's
Yes, yes. But I learned my dialogues in Tamil and Telugu we've dubbed.
Oh, you shot in Hindi and Tamil, but the
Yes.
Telugu is the dubbed
Yes,
version.
yes.
Okay. So Tamil was tough for you?
Oh yeah, very tough. But my director is very helpful, and I think he knows the technique,
Right.
how to. I was just getting distracted with the right meaning of the words, where you emphasize which expression comes where, and it's not the same as
Right.
Hindi.
That's an extra layer to your acting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And my process is very subtle. It's not that I'll say line with one dialogue. Well, matlab with one expression, the whole line is said, So with every word, sometimes their expression either elevates or goes down, or, there is a layer to it. And it was difficult. And then Vijay sir explained to me that in Hindi, he would do Hindi shot first. And he himself is such a good actor. I've never seen him acting, but he understands the intricacies of acting. How what acting is, like he would understand my shot so well. Most directors even fail to understand a good shot. But only when they put it together in edit, they're like, "Oh my God, you're so good." I said, "You could figure that out so far." like you're the last person to figure that out. So he would understand my take, and he would be like, "This is what you said here. What you did here. You need to do on this word." And then he would tell me the meaning of this word. In Hindi, it's come first, but here, because the words transform, so you've got to do it here. So we had such a great partnership, and he is so there, like I could trust him, that I would ask him. I'm not an actor like that, where I'd be like, was that okay? Like I'm very confident of what I do. But in here, I was like that. And if it had been a director who does not understand acting so well, it would have been a big mess. I'm so fortunate to be able to, work with him. He has been amazing.
Was it easy to coordinate your process with Arvind Swami's process?
He's very easygoing, He doesn't have any hang-ups, or he's like me.
Right.
Like my process is very internal, and if if anything I have to do which is more body language oriented, I'll do it in my house and my room, and come out to the set where I don't cause too much inconvenience. That's how he has been. He would just put the camera on, action, and he would do the shot. And same with me. So that was nice. Somebody is not, Also, I know of actors at times when there are difficult things, they get so carried away with their own process and performance, takes after takes after takes. Even when director is saying it was nice, they don't listen. They go on and on and on, because it is a kind of job that needed that kind of polishing of things, because you're imitating also, and you're building also, and it has to match that look. Nothing like that. Simply he will come and he will do the perfect shot, and sir will a little bit say, and then when of course that time I didn't have too much time to look into everybody's process, but when I see now later, looking at it, I think that's such an incredible amount of work has gone into it, and so effortlessly.
You come across as a very fearless person in real life. Has any role made you afraid, in the sense of, oh my God, how am I going to play this role? Have you ever had that feeling with any role?
Oh yeah.
Plenty?
All the time. All the time you have doubts about roles, and I thought I was the worst casting for Thalaivii.
Okay.
The worst there can be, And Vijay sir actually came with this script to me, and I saw Jayama's videos, and I'm like, what? Like, I have angular face with a strong jaw, and Jayama has a different kind of a face. She's beautiful, voluptuous woman, and she's a Bharatanatyam dancer, and she speaks Tamil, and her even our acting in 70s, like there is Samita Patil, and then there is Hema Malini ji in our reference when we think, and Jayama and Hema ji were a different kind of acting also they did, more mainstream they were. In every way I could think this is the worst casting, and he kept saying that you have to do it, you have to do it. And the sheer obstacles of, in my 30s to gain 20 to 25 kgs weight. That was also, I would gain, and who knows how I will look after gaining. Will I even be attractive? and so there were so many doubts that I had that she was 16 when she started, and her voluptuous body was not just about gaining weight. It's a young woman's body. It was toned and she was beautiful, and I, in my 30s, trying to gain weight, where all I will gain, and we're trying to gain, and I would go mad thinking about it and stress about it, and at this stage of my career when I have so much to lose. So I was filled with doubts when it came to Thalaivii, and for me to, again, I had Dhakad scheduled after this,
Right.
which is a spy thriller, and it needed me to have like a Black Widow or something kind of. And then I thought, how do I, it was just such a time of my life where I was full of doubts, but few people, gave me a lot of confidence. And I think Vijay sir comes from, Telugu industry, but it's Vijay sir who actually, Vijay sir is thinking about a strong woman,
Right.
and and she can do it, and she's light skinned also. But Vijay sir said that you will do it, and you are the perfect casting. I said he is going to be bashed in Tamil Nadu.
He actually used the word, she's the most apt person. I remember the word apt. He used the word apt first person for.
I said he has so much to lose there. People are going to, be offended. And he's a big director. I said, if he's saying it, there is a merit to it. Because he also has to lose only, na? How people are. I mean, drama has temples. They will burn theaters if somebody doesn't live up to that kind of passion people have for her. So his conviction worked a lot for me. But there were so many doubts.
I think this was early 2000s. In an interview in Filmfare, you had said that the getting into the character was not that difficult, but the unwinding from the character was kind of, you still had to learn how to do that. Have you become better at that now?
Oh yes, I use a lot of meditation and a lot of processes where I feel that I need to undo all the traumas, especially the very bad things that the character's been through, and make sure that identify between what is mine and what is not mine.
Right.
That is a process, and it's a healing process that one has to do, because these characters can take a toll on my own experiences. So I do that. I manage that. But having said that, you can never really undo everything.
Right.
You those impressions are always there, and it's okay. I mean, there's no harm in that, I think so.
Do you think that acting as a whole is a process of scarring the soul little bit by little bit, or do you just
Evolution of the soul is a
evolution?
better word.
Better word. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Kangana. It was a
Thank
pleasure
you.
talking to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.